Today we're going to talk about what causes spotting during a menstrual cycle. Spotting during a menstrual cycle is perhaps one of the most concerning things that women email us and reach out to us about. So many experience this on a regular basis, so I thought it's time to bring it up. We have been talking about heavy periods and light periods, and now let's talk about spotting. And I want you to know some of the causes, some that you don't necessarily have to be that concerned about, and others that it's probably worth investigating more. Hi, welcome, thanks for joining. So we know as women, or we've learned as women, that when you have a period or when you have a menstrual cycle, you should only bleed for a few days at the beginning of every cycle. It's pretty much still commonly understood that that's the case. And while this is true, there are instances where spotting happens, and there are a multitude of reasons for that happening. And I'm going to share those with you next. So spotting is really tricky. It is not black and white. It's incredibly gray in terms of causes and why it happens and how often it happens and all. It's just really a gray subject matter. No two women experience it the same. Spotting can be very random. It can just happen out of the blue, but for some it can be more regular. So there is no end-all, be-all way to address spotting, but given or based on what you learn is the cause of spotting for you, if that's something you're experiencing, there may be both medical and natural ways to address the issue or the cause. So some causes of spotting that aren't necessarily cause for concern shouldn't probably worry you that much in most cases. Ovulation. A lot of women actually spot when ovulation happens. So as the follicle with the dominant egg ripens toward ovulation, that actual follicle, there's a small bit of tissue that actually bursts open and releases an egg. Anytime tissue bursts, there can be just a little bit of bleeding. And for some women that comes out, and for other women it's just absorbed in the body. So ovulation occurring can be a cause of spotting. It's really a drop in estrogen mid-cycle at ovulation time without progesterone quite getting a chance to rise yet. And then a small amount of the endometrium is shed because of that hormonal shift. So it can be the spotting itself, but it also is more than likely that little lag time between estrogen or progesterone being produced at a level where it needs to be, causing the endometrium to shed just a little bit. Intercourse. Sexual intercourse can cause spotting. This can happen if a woman is dry, doesn't have a lot of cervical mucus when it happens, or vaginal secretions. Sexual intercourse at ovulation can also cause spotting because the cervix is ripened and opening up and changing to allow sperm to go through. And intercourse can actually can affect the cervix. The penis can actually touch the cervix, and as it gets bumped, it can cause that temporary, just a slight bit of damage. And that's not I don't want to use that word, but I just can't come up with another one. It's not harmful, it's just that the cervix is extra sensitive, especially when you're in your fertile window around ovulation. That can cause spotting. Implantation of an embryo at early pregnancy, obviously that's not cause for concern, but actual implantation can cause temporary brief spotting. Spotting in early pregnancy is a different topic than this video or this Periscope. So if you are in early pregnancy and spotting, you need to be talking with your doctor just to ensure that you're being monitored, just to learn the cause and be monitored and be safe. But that is a different subject matter, although implantation of an embryo in very, very early pregnancy can cause spotting. The body adjusting to progesterone if you're using progesterone cream, natural progesterone cream. As the body adjusts, spotting isn't necessarily a concern, but if you've been using progesterone long term and you're continually spotting outside of your period, it could mean that you're using it at the wrong time of your cycle, or that you're using too much for you. So you'll want to be working with a practitioner who can help you figure out when is best to use it for you, and or if the dose is correct. So those are two things about progesterone cream. Oftentimes, well, not oftentimes, but sometimes women who begin taking herbs that are known to nourish the endocrine system and have an effect on hormonal balance do spot temporarily. It's oftentimes very concerning, and we get emails saying, should I stop the herb? And in most cases, no. In most cases, it's just your body telling you it's responding. Hormones are shifting, and that's a good thing. That's why you're taking that herb or using that natural therapy, whatever it might be in the first place. So that is another reason for some people who begin taking herbs that impact hormonal balance or support the body in that way, they can spot as well. Those are all reasons that aren't things that make us fall off our chairs in terms of worry or that we want you worrying too much about. Certainly, if you are worried at any point, if you need to be talking with a doctor to ease your fears or worries, or figure out what's going on if there's something more. I'm not saying that if you are worrying, just quit it, because I know it's not that easy. What I am saying is that these are things that are things that we kind of want to see when in terms of spotting. Some causes that are worth investigating more and do cause concern, however, are the next few things. Disturbances in the hormonal feedback loop. If you've learned you've had PCOS, thyroid issues, luteal phase defect, anovulation, endometriosis, ovarian cyst rupture, where ovulation doesn't happen, it's actually a cyst rupturing. What else? Pelvic inflammatory disease. Those are all things that can cause spotting that are a little bit more serious and need to be addressed more specifically with either medicine or specific natural fertility, natural therapies, excuse me. Other things that can cause spotting: IUDs, hormonal contraceptive use, excessive exercise. A lot of times there are women who are excessive exercisers who have absent periods but then just randomly spot, or their periods are super light and spotty. What else? Nutritional deficiencies. Sometimes those can be a cause. Sometimes women who are severely underweight will experience random spotting throughout the cycle. That can be concerning. And that whole second half of my list are all things that you're going to want to talk to your doctor about, or a natural specialist, a natural healthcare specialist, to see if there's any sort of program or something you can do, changes you can make. Did I say thyroid health? I think I did, but thyroid health could be at play as well. Premenstrual spotting, this is spotting right before a period is supposed to start, is thought to indicate luteal phase defect, perhaps a thyroid health issue, or low progesterone, which is sort of comes hand in hand sometimes with luteal phase defect. So those are reasons for spotting right before your period is supposed to start. Oh, and anovulation. If you didn't ovulate the cycle before, some women experience premenstrual spotting, and those are all things that we would want to look farther into. Obviously, ask your doctor if you have issues. Ask for testing. Work on specifically with specific natural therapies. Getting to the cause of why your luteal phase is short. Addressing low progesterone or trying to figure out why you didn't ovulate. Particularly if it's repeated, if it's cycle after cycle after cycle or several cycles in a row. Some women do just randomly not ovulate, particularly as we age. It seems to be more common that all of a sudden there's just one cycle where you either have an ovarian cyst or don't ovulate at all for whatever reason. I mean, it could be stress, it could be travel, it could be a nutritional shift of some sort. It's hard to really know. You kind of have to be a detective to figure that out. So what do you do if you're spotting regularly and it's concerning you? It's really important to keep track of why, or not why, when it's happening in your cycle. So grab a piece of paper, a journal, a notebook, whatever you have handy, and mark the days on the calendar in relation to your cycle. If you think you've ovulated, if you're near ovulation, if you had intercourse, what the blood looks like even. That may all be really, really helpful to whomever you choose to work with, because they're gonna have to be a bit of a detective too, like I just said, because everybody is so different. There's so many causes. So keep track of when you're spotting, what it looks like, where in relation to your cycle it happens, and then consider talking to your doctor. Reach out to whoever your healthcare provider is, whether it's a medical doctor or naturopath, or an herbalist or midwife or whomever you're working with. Let them know what's going on. Ask if there's any testing they can think of. Share with them all the details that you have. Answer their questions, obviously. And then hopefully you'll get an answer and you can move forward with a program, whether it's medical or natural or both, to address whatever is causing the spotting. Again, it's a really tough one. I know it's concerning. I know it's scary. I know it's annoying. Moreover, annoying than anything else in most cases. But it's really important to pay attention to all of those things and then ask for help in figuring out why it's happening. All right, well, I'm going to close today. Thanks everyone for joining. I hope this was helpful, and I'll be back next week with another topic to hopefully be equally as informative and helpful. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.